Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. This is Mr. Anderson. I was my mind was in thought, of course, last night. Couldn't really, well, I slept, but I didn't really sleep. Well, getting there. And I just how I'm learning myself and learning how I respond and learning how I react and learning myself. And that's what I talk about, all the time, is really understanding yourself. And I started to understand how I react to certain things. We are emotional, and I've learned when in certain systems, when you are in certain systems, that system is controlled by that system, and the person that is doing the systeming is part and working for that system. We, as people on the outside of those systems, our natural reaction is an emotional response, or no emotional reaction based off of what we've been through and how we've had to cope with certain things. And that system don't care. It really don't. A lot of times the system doesn't care. And that's kind of how we get emotionally attached or detached from certain things. And I seen that, and I experienced that, and like my mind goes back and plays that over and over again, and thinking that the outcome may have been different. I don't think it would have been any different if I would have came with logic. And that's what I'm a logical thinker, yet I'm still an emotional person, especially with what I've been through and what I've been going through and the things that I've been dealing with. I've been able to have to keep my emotions in check, my anger and my frustrations, me missing my family, my children, that I'm going through a rebuild emotionally with all that. So logic is really, it's change. I'm learning that I have to change or understand and pause and take a moment to not let my emotions take the best of me, and use my logical thinking and understanding and brain to it. It may help the case, yet I'll rather, in certain systems, I'll rather react through understanding and knowledge first, because the emotional side is going to, it's going to cause emotional reaction. I mean, of course. And then it got me thinking about my life, and I was so, I was so used to having a quick reaction from sports. It was always an immediate reaction. because sports, you can't sit and think. You can't think. You can't think. You don't have time to think when it comes to football, baseball, basketball. Yes, you have a play in your mind. You have a play that you're running. You have a play that has been coached into you. So you naturally gonna run that play, yet at the same time you have to react based off of that the other team or what's in front of you. You don't have time to think. And that goes into trucking as well. And when we're driving, we don't have time to think. I've programmed my mind to where I see cues in the road, or cues that gives me a signal, and that signal gives me a reaction. Like now, I'm driving and I see red tail lights up in front of me. So my natural reaction is to slow down. I don't know what's going on up there. I don't know why. I see that and I react. It's just an immediate reaction from me. And I still react like I'm still driving a truck, because I slow down and I got a good 20 cars and 5 cars in front of me. So I don't like tailgating, because I know for me in a truck that it's hard to stop. So I have to give myself that out, or that room, and you just see me look like that's my natural reaction is, okay, I see a space, in this case I have to jump into it. So that was my natural reaction. But when it comes to, it's that quick thinking, it's that quick reflex, and this is not tied to emotion. It's just a natural reflex. How can I shift that thinking into the system? And I talked to AI, and it was like, she was like, it ain't changing and becoming numb for that system. And your reaction is taking a moment, it's pausing for a moment. And I know one of the tricks that I did read about in a book, it was pretty much buying yourself some time. And because some people think silence, if you pause too long, that silence is disrespectful. Well, you don't have nothing to say? No, I'm thinking. But that causes their reaction. So one of the things that I read, or I was taught, which I need to work on, was to ask the question back. That gives gives you time to digest and understand and weed out the emotions. And there's a few other tricks to that I was told to really have that response. And it's got me thinking about lawyers. Like, I wonder if they're trained. They have to be trained not to think emotional. They have to know the system. They have to know the law. They have to know how the system works. And it seems like the only one that in that room that can make it an emotional decision is the judge. So how do we as civilians, outside of a system, really think with with integrity and with our logic, it's a little bit of a blend, a mixture of emotion in it. Like we have to a certain point, take that emotion out, and that's what I've realized. And with sports, we don't have to. With sports, it's just a quick reflex. It's a quick motion response. In driving, it's a quick we do hit an emotions, because when you speed up or when you see something and it causes a wreck, or you see a wreck, you do think fear. I might be mixing it up a little. I don't know. I just my mind, and I know I need to meditate more to slow my mind down. I know that's what it is, because my mind just calculates so many scenarios or thoughts when I'm asked a question or when I'm faced with something. My mind, like, just it goes. And that's why I'm trying my best to, learn myself and understand who I am and why I react, and not let my emotions get the best of me, and just really be calm and silent for a minute, or pause for a minute, or understand what it is. Yeah, sometimes it's just based on the system. Like, it feeds off of our emotions. Things feed off our emotions, and that's all that. I say all that to say that I think everything is based off our emotions. And most of the books that I've read, and even walking through some of these retail stores, everything is an impulse buy, a reaction. Everything is studied to put things in place, put items in places to get your attention. There's studies and statistical studies of what colors make you do certain things or react a certain way, or what. I think that book was called Statistics that I read. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it again. But everything is a stat. Everything is a system, and it's based off of our reactions towards things. And then the sad part about that is some of those reactions are planned, are executed actions based off of the studies that are. Am I saying it right? It's. I'm trying to say that it's prediction. They're of predictive intelligence, that they're predicting pushing you towards a reaction to purchase, of to buy, or to sell, or to do or not to do, or like. I know I probably went way around, but this is my mind, man. This is my mind. This is what I was up last night thinking about. It was like, man, I play a lot of scenarios back in my mind, and it's like the times that I've had to really think logical. It was hard. Yet I had to think in that sense, because if I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't survive. Probably wouldn't be. And that even I can tell when people think that's the first thing. That's the first thing they do. And that's one of my favorite book says that is people are quick to have a thought based off of an appearance than actually going internally and thinking of ways of why that is, instead of just going off an initial appearance. Because it's easy just to see and think, positive or negative. Most of the time it's a negative response. It's a negative thought. And that's one of the big lessons that hit me hard, and now I'm circling back around to that, is not going off of appearance, not going off an appearance, not going off of my first initial response, because it's an emotional one. That first response is an emotional response. That's one of the reasons why one of my also books I like is the 7 whys. After you ask yourself why 7 times, like the 6th and 7th, you really start having to think. And I've did that to somebody, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it because it made them think. We were having a conversation, and it was like, why? Why do you think that? And then the deeper and deeper I got into the why and the way I rephrased it, it really, I got to like the 5th why, and they couldn't handle it. Because it's going to make you sit there and think. The deeper thought, not just the automatic quick response. And then going back to sports, that quick response that you learned. So you evolve with that. So but sometimes it's just so quick you don't know what you're doing. And that's where I'm back and forth. But yeah, I'm really trying to understand that. I'm really trying to understand that. Especially when, with running a business, we have to think logical. The emotion is there. The emotions are there and it's going to be there. Yet you have to think logical. And the nervous system is going to be nervous. The nervous system is going to have that reaction. That's why I love the mind. I love the brain, the mind, and stuff. And, I hate to see people being manipulated in situations, or treated differently, or treated, especially in relationships and jobs, stuff like that. It's like, man, you put all this on us, but then you become part of the system. You really become part of that system. But anyway, man, I just this is my mind. This is what I think, and this is why I create. I love being creative. I love being active, mentally active, and physically active. It's because that helps me regulate all this, and understand all this, and put things in perspective. To better serve my people, my family, the systems, and understand them. Because at the end of the day, that's all this is. And obviously, y'all know I battle with a lot of that sometimes, which I'm learning not to battle with it, and just continue to create my system within this system. I don't want to continuously work in the system. I want to be able to work with the system. And that's me trading. I love day trading. That's me working within the system. I understand trading. I understand business and logic. And I know I got a lot to learn. I know I got a lot. There's always a lot of information and data to learn. Yeah. I've really seen it, and now I'm like, okay, it's time to create. And man, speaking of creating, I was walking around Harbor Freight, and just like these creative juices just was flowing in me, man. Took me back to welding and shop class and building and working with my hands and doing things and creating. That's where I am, man. I've changed the system within me, and it's creative. It's being creative, because I know that's one of the key things that I want to instill in my children, is to create, be creative. But anyway, this is Mr. Anderson, and I approve this message. Y'all, thank you. Enjoy the ride. Let's grow.